Hi everybody, good morning. Today's review is of the Rolling Stones 1973 concert film, Ladies and Gentlemen, the Rolling Stones. This film was recorded or was shot during either the Rolling Stones Sticky Fingers tour or more likely the Exile on Main Street tour from 1973. Now, the show opens with a song that they would normally close the show with nowadays, Brown Sugar. And it ends with, I believe, Jumping Jack Flash. In between, they do an assortment of songs. They do a lot of songs from the just released Exile on Main Street, including some of my favorites, such as Dead Flowers, Sweet Virginia, and one of my absolute favorites, a song that Mick wrote about a dice game called Tumbling Dice. And they also do a tremendous version of a song from Let It Bleed called Midnight Rambler, which they still perform to this day. The Ladies and Gentlemen version clocks in at 12 minutes, and upon viewing of the film, you will notice that Keith has a blonde streak in his hair, and Mick is wearing, I believe, eyeshadow or and lipstick, because Mick was already starting to get into his glam rock phase at this time. David Bowie must have been an influence. And at the beginning of the film, you will hear the stage announcement done by the same announcer that announced the acts at Woodstock. His name was Chip Monk. He was on the road with the Stones at this time too. And this is the last tour with Mick Taylor, who had been brought in 1969 to replace Brian Jones, who had died months previous. Actually, Mick's first concert with the Stones, Mick Taylor's first show with the Stones, was their famous Hyde Park gig from 1969. Which is another show that we will be reviewing in a couple weeks. But on a side note, the Exile on Main Street is probably my favorite Stones record of all time. I love that record, which was recorded in Paris, I believe. I think it was recorded because the Stones were having tax trouble and were in fear of going to prison in England because of tax trouble, and so they were looking for a shall we say, out of the way place to record. So they chose France. And on the road with the Stones at this time too was the horn section of the late great Bobby Keys and Jim Price, who had also played on Sticky Fingers and every record up to Bobby Keys had played on every record, I think, up to his death in 2014, including Exile on Main Street. Now, um, now, um, as a special feature on the Ladies and Gentlemen DVD, they have some rehearsal footage for the tour, including a rehearsal take of one of my favorite Stones numbers, Loving Cup. Now, a song that's conspicuously absent from the tour and actually wasn't performed, I think, until maybe wasn't performed again until I think maybe the early 80s, like 81, 82 was the first time they dusted off Satisfaction and started putting it in their sets, and it remains in their sets to this day. Now the reason is that they didn't, the last time they had performed Satisfaction until they started performing it in the 80s was 1969 on their fabled farewell tour. Of course, we know that that didn't come to pass. Now, the reason that they took Satisfaction out of their sets was because they were never happy with the way it translated on stage. And now, I got, Ladies and Gentlemen, the Rolling Stones as part of a box set. The other two DVDs in the set were their Stones in Exile documentary, which details the making of Exile on Main Street, and the third DVD is a mismatch of video clips, and there's a interview with Dick Cavett from when the Stones, when Dick Cavett did a remote from one of the Stones gigs from the 73 tour. And so I give ladies and gentlemen, the Rolling Stones about 5 stars. Now, one more thing about Dead Flowers. Now they the version of Dead Flowers that is on or shown in the film was played on electric guitar, but on Sticky Fingers they played it in kind of a countrified, kind of acoustic take, sort of. And I tend to prefer kind of the countrified version of it. So once again, I give the Ladies and Gentlemen, the Rolling Stones concert film about 5 stars, and you won't be disappointed if you're a Stones fan. Enjoy the DVD.